The year 2025 has been anything but ordinary. It stands as a year of unfolding prophecy. Conflicts have erupted worldwide. Observe the globe. Russia is engaged in war. Israel is at war, alongside Sudan, Myanmar, Thailand, and Venezuela. Hostilities touch every continent, capped by the most ominous threat of all whispers of nuclear confrontation. 2 millennia ago, Jesus foretold this exact scenario. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. Nation will rise against nation. Yet, something even more alarming is occurring. A coalition of nations has turned against Israel. Israel initiated a ground campaign in Lebanon, exchanged missile fire with Iran and Yemen, and confronted Syrian forces at the border. 5 fronts, all converging on a single objective: Jerusalem. The prophet Zechariah also issued a warning. Jerusalem will become a cup of trembling for all nations. All the nations of the earth will be gathered against her. In September 2025, Israeli forces entered Gaza by land, the ancient territory of the Philistines along the coast. This was foreseen by Zephaniah 2,600 years prior. The sea coast shall belong to the remnant of the house of Judah. 3 prophecies, 3 fulfillments, all within a single year. But this is not the conclusion. Conflicts are intensifying, and tensions are reaching a breaking point. China's gaze is fixed on Taiwan. The Philippines and Japan remain on high alert. India and Pakistan are once again on the brink. Jesus termed this not the end, but the beginning of birth pains. What we observed in 2025 were the initial contractions. Today, we will examine how every prophetic event of 2025 points directly toward 2026 and what the Bible declares comes next. Prophecy 10, Zechariah 12. In June 2025, a long-dreaded event transpired. Israel launched a devastating simultaneous offensive against Iran, Gaza, and Lebanon. This time, the world declared it had seen enough. The reaction was a chain response. Turkey issued condemnations, Iran mobilized its forces, and the UN demanded immediate investigations. But the most startling response was in the streets. From London and Paris to New York, thousands called for sanctions. This was no longer a regional conflict. It was the entire world aligning against one nation. This was precisely documented in Scripture. I will make Jerusalem a cup that sends all the surrounding peoples reeling. All the nations of the earth will be gathered against her. A cup that causes nations to stagger, that wounds anyone who tries to seize it. That was Israel in 2025. In March, Israel launched Operation Power and Sword against Hamas, shattering a fragile ceasefire. Bombs fell on Gaza City, Khan Yunis, and Rafah. The death toll quickly surpassed 400. Ground troops seized the Netzarim corridor, splitting Gaza in 2. Thousands of structures were leveled. Hospitals collapsed. By October, a new U.S.-brokered ceasefire allowed a brief respite and humanitarian aid, but it lasted only 9 days. On October 19th, Hamas attacked Rafah, killing 2 Israeli soldiers. Israel's retaliatory airstrikes killed 44 Palestinians that day. The Rafah crossing closed, aid halted, and the world responded not just with words, but with diplomatic pressure, UN condemnations, and global protests. We are witnessing a modern siege against Israel, fought not only on battlefields, but through media, politics, and international opinion. If 2025 revealed nations beginning to unite against Israel, then 2026 could bring the total siege prophecy describes. And what follows, according to God's word, is something no nation will halt. Prophecy 9, Matthew 24. On October 13th, 2025, the world stood one sentence away from annihilation. Dmitry Medvedev, a key ally of Vladimir Putin, issued a chilling warning to the West. If the U.S. sent Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine, Russia would not distinguish between nuclear and conventional warheads. the response would be proportionate. That same day, Putin rejected a peace proposal and ordered the deployment of fearsome Vanguard missiles to Belarus. In 1 week, Russia unleashed hell. 84 airstrikes, 193 guided bombs, and over 6,300 Shade drones. Cities like Kyiv and Kharkiv burned. 12,000 homes were plunged into darkness, and families were buried in rubble. The totals were staggering. 46,000 Ukrainian soldiers killed, 380,000 wounded. Prophecy 8. Ezekiel 38, July 2025, seemed like science fiction, but it was biblical prophecy unfolding. On July 28th, Hezbollah launched a rocket barrage from the north on Kiryat Shmona. Israel's response was a 5-day campaign that stunned the world. This was not conventional warfare. It was an artificial intelligence war. Israel deployed autonomous weapons that erased entire neighborhoods and destroyed secret tunnels stretching 10 kilometers. Hezbollah retaliated with swarms of Iranian-made suicide drones. The outcome was apocalyptic. Beirut in darkness, 200,000 displaced, the Lebanese government in collapse. Two critical details align with prophecy. The attack came from the north, and it was powered by Iranian technology. Ezekiel prophesied 2,600 years ago, "Set your face against Gog, Persia, Cush, and Put, and the house of Togarmah from the far north." Persia is modern Iran. Togarmah corresponds to the regions north of Israel, Lebanon, and Syria. The 2025 conflict, with Hezbollah acting as Iran's proxy, was the Gog and Magog coalition forming in real time. With tensions still escalating, the stage is set for a massive conflict that could erupt in 2026. Prophecy 7. Revelation 8. In January 2025, Los Angeles firefighters confronted nightmare scenes. Cars melting in streets, metal dripping like wax. On January 7th, Santa Ana winds exceeding 60 miles per hour fueled 3 simultaneous infernos: the Palisades, Eaton, and Sunset fires. The intensity created its own weather, with flame storms towering 100 feet high. The devastation was immense. 150,000 acres burned, 18,000 structures destroyed, 500,000 evacuated, and losses estimated at $53 billion, the planet's costliest natural disaster of 2025. The most terrifying sight was the sky, stained a deep, bloody red by flames, with an endless rain of ash. This mirrors the prophecy of the first trumpet. There came hail and fire mixed with blood, and it was hurled down on the earth. 1/3 of the earth was burned up. Los Angeles witnessed a hail of fire through dry lightning and a sky tinged with blood. This city, a global exporter of content often contrary to biblical values and a hub for the adult industry, passed laws in 2025 permitting abortion until birth for many, a final act of defiance. If this is what the first trumpet heralded, the world should tremble at what the second and third trumpets may bring in 2026. Prophecy 6, Isaiah 17. Damascus, the world's oldest continuously inhabited city, has survived for millennia. Yet the Bible predicts its demise. See, Damascus will no longer be a city, but will become a heap of ruins. After Bashar al-Assad's fall in 2024 and the rise of radical Ahmad al-Shara, Syria became a powder keg. The spark ignited on July 11, 2025, with clashes between Druze and Bedouin militias, killing 250. The point of no return came on July 16th. Tired of instability on its border, Israel moved beyond warnings and launched a direct airstrike on the Syrian capital, hitting the Ministry of Defense and areas near the presidential palace. These were not strikes on the outskirts, but at the heart of power. An Israeli minister stated bluntly, "The era of warnings is over." Israel has conducted strikes before, citing protection of Druze communities, and has warned of more. All signs suggest We stand at the threshold of Damascus, ceasing to be a city and becoming the prophesied heap of ruins, caught between internal chaos and external destruction. What we witnessed appears to be the dress rehearsal for Isaiah 17, Prophecy 5, Revelation 6. Emerging videos from Sudan show scenes almost too horrifying to comprehend. Civilians eating grass to survive. This connects to one of the apocalyptic horsemen. Sudan's civil war has raged for years between the armed forces and the rapid support forces, leaving cities like Khartoum and Senna in ruins. Senna's main hospital was destroyed. Over 150,000 civilians have died, 10 million are displaced, and 25 million depend on food aid. Children die daily from malnutrition. The UN calls this the world's worst humanitarian crisis. One statistic is particularly chilling. In Khartoum, wheat prices have soared 300%. A loaf of bread costs a full day's wages. This echoes John's vision in Revelation: a quart of wheat for a day's wages. The rider of the black horse holds scales, symbolizing extreme rationing and famine. The precise fulfillment in Sudan suggests the black horse is already riding, meaning the other horsemen may not be far behind. Prophecy 4, 2 Timothy 3. In February 2025, a viral video from Myanmar showed soldiers shooting unarmed civilians in a marketplace while laughing and shouting slurs. This was not tactical error, but pure, entertained evil. Myanmar's conflict has descended into madness. The junta, controlling barely 20% of the country, responds with unprecedented brutality. Over 1,000 documented airstrikes, schools and hospitals incinerated, 3 million people forced into the jungle. Horrors include torture chambers, gang rapist terror, public executions of children, and desecrated temples used as military bases. The Apostle Paul described such times. In the last days, people will be lovers of themselves, without natural affection, unforgiving, brutal. The phrase, without natural affection, describes the loss of basic empathy. When laughter accompanies massacre and power overrides the value of life, we are witnessing these perilous times unfold. If 2025 showed the death of empathy, 2026 threatens deeper spiritual darkness. Prophecy 3, Joel 2. If human cruelty in Myanmar was terrifying, events on March 28, 2025, showed nature itself joining the conflict. At 9:43 a.m., a magnitude 7.7 earthquake struck near Mandalay. The ground split, historic buildings crumbled, and the toll was catastrophic. 45,500 dead, 30,000 homes destroyed, $12 billion in losses. The aftermath was worse. Shattered gas lines and electrical cables turned wooden structures into torches. Massive fires consumed Mandalay's central market, and for days, towering columns of black smoke blotted out the sun over a nation already in wartime darkness. This was prophecy as literal chronicle. Joel prophesied, "I will show wonders, blood and fire and columns of smoke." Myanmar saw all three in a single day: blood from victims, uncontrollable fire, and columns of smoke darkening the sky. Trapped between war and earthly fury, its people lived out a Bible verse in real time. This convergence sounds a deafening alarm that by 2026, the prophetic clock may strike midnight. Prophecy 2, Luke 21. On March 12, 2025, Australia's east coast transformed from paradise into a scene from Revelation. Cyclone Alfred, a Category 4 monster with 140 miles per hour winds, brought a 26-foot wall of water. Townsville's streets became 10-foot deep rivers. Sydney's Hawkesbury River rose 43 feet, sweeping away cars and homes in the worst flooding in 50 years. In Cairns, flooding displaced crocodiles into residential streets. A wealthy, powerful nation declared a national emergency, calling on New Zealand and the U.S. for help. Survivors described the sound not as water, but as continuous, deafening thunder a roar. Jesus described one end-time sign. On the earth, distress of nations, the sea and the waves roaring. Witnesses used that exact word. The ocean roared as it devoured the coast. The distress of nations with perplexity was seen in a modern government's helplessness. Cyclone Alfred was the Bible unfolding in real time. If 2025 brought this roar to one coast, what other coastlines will roar in 2026 as signs intensify before our King's return? Prophecy 1, Revelation 16. On May 22, 2025, the sound of crunching metal in the South China Sea alerted the world. A Chinese vessel intentionally rammed a Filipino boat at Sandy Cay Reef. This was not an accident, but a response to Operation Balikatan, a massive U.S.-Philippines military exercise involving 14,000 troops, anti-ship missiles, and patrols with Japan and Australia. To analysts, it's a struggle for oceanic control. To prophecy students, it's preparation for Armageddon. Revelation states, the sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up to prepare the way for the kings from the east. In ancient times, the Euphrates was a physical barrier. Today, the barrier is the strategic sea routes controlled by the West. China's aggressive actions in the South China Sea are, prophetically, drying up the river. As the modern king of the East, China is clearing its path, securing routes to move troops and resources toward global conflict. The 2025 clashes were prophecy unfolding. The path is drying up, the route is opening, and everything is set for the kings of the East to begin their march in 2026. If 2025 felt chaotic, 2026 could be worse. We may be on the verge of the darkest 7 years in human history, the Great Tribulation, a period of total control, collapse, and the rise of the mark of the beast. Why 2026? Because of God's mathematics. The Apostle Peter wrote, "With the Lord a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like a day." God created the world in 6 days and rested on the seventh. Applying this pattern, 4,000 years, 4 days, passed from Adam to Jesus. Roughly 2,000 years, 2 days, have passed from Jesus to today. That totals 6,000 years, the end of the sixth day. We are in the final moments before the dawn of the seventh millennium, the kingdom of Christ. Most biblical timelines point to this countdown ending between 2025 and 2030. A final crucial piece signals the imminent explosion, a modern prophetic axis of China, Russia, and Iran. This alliance, feared by analysts, was prophesied centuries ago. Ezekiel spoke of the north, Revelation of the kings of the east. Many believe 2026 could be the year this alliance moves to open war. If so, we will witness another prophecy unfold in real time.